In a separate video, I detailed how one could use the time card history summary report to generate the HISSUM CSV file and use that technique as a shortcut to calculating back pay. So let's go a step further, and how are we going to enter that back pay? I'm going to go to File Maintenance, and there's a couple of things I want to make sure I have set up in File Maintenance. The first thing is I want to have a prevailing wage that is 0. Now, if I have one that I could use, that's fine. If I don't, then I'm going to put a prevailing wage in. And I'm going to use 99, and I'm going to maybe call it 0 wage and leave it as 0. And I'm going to use that prevailing wage when I set up an operation number just for the purposes of paying back pay. And just to be symmetrical and easy to remember, I'm going to use 99 as my operation for back pay. Use whatever appropriate number fits into your numbering scheme. It doesn't matter a whole lot what you use there. And if you use cost centers, put in an appropriate cost center where those wages for back pay would be costed to. And I'll call it back pay. And I am going to make this an SA, Sam Arthur, for salary job. And the prevailing wage category, I'm going to use that new one that I set up as 99, and I can leave the hourly rate category as 0. So the key components here are really any number that's appropriate. I'll call it back pay. I'm going to make it a salary job. The reason I'm using salary, which is not common, you may not have any other operation set up that way, is because the wages on salaried operations are not included in the calculations for example, calculating the average rates and those kinds of things, so it won't throw off those kinds of calculations. So I like to use salary for that. And then prevailing wage of 0. So I've set up an operation for that. So now that I have that file maintenance done, I might also check the dates. Obviously, you always have to have the appropriate date range that you're going to enter it. And you could do this using a prior pay period date if you like. It doesn't really matter. It would be easy to do that as well. Because remember, you can use you could use a date in the last period, post it, and then it will show up on the next check regardless of the date that you used. So now let's go to time card daily work and actually enter the transaction. So I'll pick an employee, and I'm going to skip the in and out because I just want to put in 1 hour, always 1 hour. And I'm going to put in 99, my operation. Now, instead of hitting the enter key, which tells the system move on, go quick mode, enter, I'm going to hit the right arrow. And that tells the system to go over to the amount field because this is a salaried operation. It allows me to directly edit the amount field. And my prior calculations showed that I owed this person $35.85. So I've put in 1 hour, and the reason I put in 1 hour is most systems are designed that they require an hour on the entry screen. So I have to get by with 1 hour, but I don't want to throw off my hours. So I'm going to go over and put a minus here on the left margin. So I use the left arrow to move over to the margin. This is the same technique I use when I'm making corrections, you might remember. And I'm going to put an hour back in on 99, and this time I'm going to hit the enter key, and watch what it does. It moves down to the next line. But because I had that 0 prevailing wage, it didn't calculate any amount. So I end up with 2 transactions for each person getting back pay. The first one's a positive, the second one's a negative. They're both for 1 hour, so the hours cancel out and the pay remains. So I can page down to save that, and I can go on to my next employee. So that's the simple technique. I then process that back pay in a normal way. I can post it. Well, of course, print your time cards, proof your amounts, and then post it. And remember, postings accumulate until the next time you issue a check. So if you post it, I like to do this as a separate posting. So I don't commingle these with the rest of the pay period stuff. I like to do it separately. And so that's how you get the back pay into the system very efficiently.